Good afternoon, everybody. Before I get started, I'm actually trying something new today. So this is kind of like, I know it's highly risky to try new things when you're presenting, and it is, but you know, we're all in the industry of optimization and A/B split testing. So I actually set up a poll, and I've got 3 questions during the presentation. And if you go to that domain and /Catchi, there'll be, if all goes well, then when I'm actually at the slide, there will be a poll pop up, and then we can basically get some involvement from everybody else to just kind of see how you all kind of do with certain things and kind of what things are occupying your mind, which is quite good. So everybody's always on their phone anyway, so I might as well just use that, to our advantage. So that's the domain, and there's also you can also send a text message as well, and that will be on the actual slide. So without further ado, really quickly about Catchi. I'm the managing director of Catchi. Set it up 4 years ago originally in New Zealand. I'm from the Netherlands, moved there 15 years ago. And then with Michaela set up the business in Sydney about 18 months ago, May 2015. And we are now Australia's and New Zealand's leading conversion rate optimization and digital analytics specialist. So basically purely focus on conversion rate optimization, personalization, and not drive traffic to the websites, but purely kind of optimize sites and look at both kind of the conversion strategy, but also testing. So we do a lot of rapid testing and just like just was discussed before as well, a lot of optimization experiments building. Technology agnostic, although we obviously also Google Optimize 360 authorized resellers as well. But we work with all sorts of different tools on a daily basis. And we are very passionate about optimization, passionate, probably more kind of, obsessed almost by optimizing things and make the internet a frictionless experience. How nice would that be if we can achieve that? So some of the clients that we work with in Australia and New Zealand, we've got about 50 clients, and mainly kind of large corporate clients that we work with, because they're quite traffic heavy websites. Also, it allows us to get some really quick results as well with clients. So you can see that it's not just retail, it's not just finance and insurance. It's basically across the board. We do a lot of in travel as well, all sorts of different things. So enough about that. The reason why I put this picture up is that I recently took on kite surfing, probably my midlife crisis. But I used to do windsurfing for many, many years, and I saw some really cool dudes on the beach, right? Just riding like this, and I thought, like, how easy? I mean, it must be really easy. Just get on a board and just go. So I took some lessons, and the reason I put it up is because I've really kind of every time I fall off, which is like non-stop pretty much, and it's been really painful so far. Is that, so basically it just looks more like that. Is that it really reminds me, maybe it's just kind of the lack of oxygen when I'm underwater, but it reminds me of that, like optimization and personalization being very much of a similar journey, because you learn something and you test things, and you finally, when you think you've got it, something else goes wrong and you fall again, and you just fall in a different way, and you have to keep adjusting it. And then all of a sudden, it's like same as riding a bike, you've got it, and you're in the flow of things, and then things flow from there. But this is kind of, I'm certainly not at this, I'm certainly here still. Anyway, so today I want to just briefly talk about like growth hacking in relation to A/B split testing, CRO, and personalization. And the reason why we chose growth hacking is because that's kind of for us the epiphany of rapid iteration testing and really kind of learning quickly from what we're doing. And normally this is kind of like synonymous with startups. They use it a lot. You go to the minimum viable product as quickly as you can. Just don't really worry about whether the product is working. You just get it launched. Sean, you can probably talk about this. You just want to get it live, and you just want to make sure. And then you kind of like keep adjusting and perfecting it over time. And that's kind of, we can really see that this is being adapted by large corporate clients now as a philosophy as well. And we can also see that the people that you need in your team to be kind of the growth hackers, I know that's a little bit of a buzz term, are very much like the rare gems, they're very hard to find. And I'm sure that you all have challenges finding the right digital people, and we certainly do as well. Is that they need to be both technical they need to really get like a marketing feel as well. And look at the examples before, you've got like the technical guy saying this, but marketing saying something completely different. And they also need to be kind of like entrepreneurial at the same time as well. So really think like, how can I grow this business? Which is challenging to find those people. So when we look at growth hacking, we've pretty much kind of talk a lot about the lean startup. This is Eric Ries's model, which is similar to what we saw before on the other slide. So ideas or build, measure, learn. That's pretty much kind of the cycle, and it's continuous. And we adapting this model as well on a daily basis when we optimize websites. We slightly do it kind of like differently, and I'll show you how we do that. But it really comes down to ideas. Again, they're building experiments and experiences for clients in coding, and then measure the result of those, getting the data, and then learning from the data to generate new ideas on a continuous basis. So it's never kind of like as a one-off thing. So let's try this poll thing. Just kind of to get the hands around the room to just get an idea. This pops up like this. But how experienced are you with your CRO program? On a B, C is, like that. Okay, we see some votes coming in. So just kind of go to that, or text as well, if that works. We'll see if that works, 22333. So you write a kind of, what is it? We've done some ad hoc optimization, testing on a regular basis. It's key. And then with CRO God. And I'd like to talk to the people that have typed in A afterwards as well. Like this. Huh? Yeah, it works. It's quite cool. Starting to even out. Still votes coming in. Yeah. Well, maybe it is. Who knows? This is a pre-recorded video. So we can definitely see that there's we've done some ad hoc optimization and testing on a regular basis. Oh, okay, yeah. D is winning now. Okay. I don't really know how long this goes on for, actually, so this is kind of an interesting one. There'll probably be, if you go to the site, I don't know what you guys see, but there'll probably be similar to that, the results. So maybe you can go back to them as well. But it's good, interesting to see, right? So most of us in the room definitely heard about conversion rate optimization. You've done some ad hoc testing, and some of you doing it on a regular basis, and then it kind of, there's some gods in the room as well, which is really good to see. So I'll move on from that. Got two more of those. So how we work on that lean startup methodology, or lean testing basically, is this way. So we do it slightly different. But if you look at build, measure, learn, we do measure, learn, build, pretty much in that kind of like order, and then keep going an ongoing cycle. And I'll take you through all these three steps. So very much kind of like measure being our research lab. The learning is the strategizing, and then step 3 being building, which is building experiments and experiences. So I'll take you briefly through those three, just kind of give you an insight on how we do this stuff on a daily basis. I've got this is basically how we call it the customer insights triangle. So we look at gathering insights from 3 different angles. So if you look at clicks, that can be like your Google Analytics, for example. So clicks, heat maps, the crazy egg was just been discussed as well. And then really coming down to quantitative data. So we also look at feedback. So it's really good to see that that you're building in that surveys, which is kind of a vital part of what we're doing with research. So feedback is quick, like customer surveys, saying things like, did you find what you're looking for? Yes or no, what were you looking for? Those kind of things. Qualitative and quantitative, and then observation. So we still do a lot of user testing, and there's a site called usertesting.com based in the US, which is kind of like a cheap version of doing user testing, but it actually gives you some really good insights. But we also do get lots of users into our office and actually run them through control websites and actually get insights from those to build experiments going forward. So those 3 data sources we're looking at when we look at doing our research. And in the end, we want to find this, kind of the weakest link. So we're always looking into where is the key friction point to optimize for in any kind of like customer journey. So that can be, for example, say you're running an AdWords campaign, and you see this over and over again actually. It's recently looking for a product. Certainly wide-wear companies do that quite poorly sometimes, is that you say you're looking for a washing machine and you type in a certain model, like whether that's a Bosch, and then you see like number 1, an AdWords campaign coming up saying, looking for this and this and this Bosch washing machine. And you go, yeah, great, I am actually looking for the washing machine. You click on it and actually takes you to the category page. So it's just kind of like a pre-populated ad, which grabs your search and then puts it into your AdWords, into the AdWords campaign, but it sends you to a generic page or a category page or even like a product page, which can be like a very much a weak link. So that's why we see the drop-off. Can also be on a shopping cart. It can be any step. And it's kind of like you've seen this slide before. But this is how we look at when we get our insights from data from an e-commerce point of view, for example, looking into advanced e-commerce tracking, which we do a lot of these setups as well, for where do people drop off in that funnel. So you can see here a big drop off between 2 and 3. So why does it happen? How do we optimize for those? So really getting those insights from our data. Now, if we take it one step further, there's a whole book written about this, which is called Lean Analytics. If you're into analytics, has anyone read that book? One hand goes up. I've read it as well, and it's very dry, but it's actually amazing when you go through it. It's about the like using Lean Analytics, so really like focusing on one data set and minimizing your goals. But one of the key slides from that is this, where you look into information on the left, which is kind of your descriptive analytics, which basically describes what happened. And that's where a lot of data analysts look at the data, what happened. But then in the end, we want to be where we look at prescriptive analytics, which is, if you go up the chain, like why did it happen, diagnostic, what will happen, predictive, which is foresight, and optimization really can be found in how can we make it happen, and that's prescriptive analytics. And when we look at the prescriptive analytics, that is also kind of when you got like these learning engines making or almost recommendations based on what's happening on your website as well, and that's being fed back into the optimization program. So there's a whole presentation I've actually done about Lean Analytics, so happy to answer any questions about that later. But step 2 is strategy lab. So we look at 3 things here, mainly digital growth strategy, customer journey mapping, and personalization as well. And when we look at, like, this is just a really simple slide, but look at testing and personalization and how we build on that. When we look at testing, we've got A/B split testing or multivariate testing. We've got an experience on the left, giving us like an A/B, A in that case the winner. So we build on that and then keep perfecting and keep optimizing it over time. Right? So you end up with maybe somewhere here. So it's like a lot of like iterations and a lot of testing over time. When we run that personalization through that as well, then we can see that even though we optimize, we run A/B split tests, it's still focused on the same audience. So when we look at personalization on the right, we actually show different audiences, different segments, different variations of the page, but we also create different optimization journeys and different A/B split tests for different journeys and different segments as well. Now, when we talk like a personalization, quite a buzzword, but it basically comes down to, we see a lot of just basically advanced segmentation. And certainly when we look at the Google Analytics data, then we can have a lot of behavioral targeting. So for example, the example we just saw about the chair, that's all behavioral targeting. Somebody clicking on something and go, or click on the chair, or they edit something to cart. Based on their behavior, we show them something else. The next level up from it is first-party targeting. That's really where you kind of like upload results from an email campaign or something like that to your testing tool, and then do a personalized experience based on that. With your third-party targeting, that's where you get into the data management platform integrations, like the Crux or Bluekai, where you have that integration with and feed other data via your data management platform based back into the personalization program. And then that unified targeting, when we look at that prescriptive analytics, that's where it suggests different segments to you automatically. And it's almost like a learning. And it's sometimes like seen as the holy grail, but it always takes a human to go through whether that actually does make sense in the end. The other thing we do a lot of is more from a practitioner point of view. When you look at the difference between mobile websites and desktop, we do see that a lot of companies are now creating separate mobile optimization programs. So gone are the days of like, oh, I've got a mobile responsive website. It's actually looking into what does that mobile vista, what does a person actually want from our site. So mobile optimization, really kind of, it's more about have a separate optimization focus and strategy, but it's very much kind of focusing on optimizing for the situation or the experience, not as much kind of the device, and that's really, really important. So understanding mobile behavior very differently from desktop. And we can certainly see that like with retail, insurance, it's so different. So understanding that and actually creating completely different A/B split tests and personalized campaigns for mobile traffic is absolutely vital. The goal, so coming back to lean analytics, we ideally just aim at maximum 3 goals that we really kind of call it a success of any campaign that we're doing. So when we work with clients on a, say, 12-month engagement, we look into what is the number one goal, and that can be like increased revenue, for example, 2x, highly measurable. And then goal 2 and 3 can be increased basket size or increased signups to a database. So really kind of like making it very easy to measure success as well, because that allows it, it makes it a lot easier to get buy-in from the wider organization. So looking at goals, what do you want to achieve from your kind of CRO program or your personalization program? This is a cloud, so this should be kind of, if you go to that website again and you type in the words, just one word will be fine. So just kind of a couple of words should show up here. More conversions, revenue. Okay, revenue. It's the theme of the day.
The gods need to type something in that we get to a proper.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yep. So this keeps building. Money. Okay. Oh, okay. So it builds like that. This is good. This is a live test. I expect it to be like a cloud, but it's increased signups, delight. Cool. Quality leads. How do you measure delight? Who typed in delight, if I may ask? I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't want to put your hand up, don't. But it's like thinking about how we measure what does delight look like, right? From a goal point of view. World peace. Yeah. It's a big. It's always a couple of those, you know. All right. This probably keeps. Okay, leads, revenue, sales. That's kind of like the gist of it. Money, yeah, dollar signs. Okay, good. That's very obvious then. And those things are kind of like, yeah, relatively not easy to optimize for, but at least it's kind of like highly measurable. So experiment. Nothing beats proper testing, as we know. Like there's a lot of. Has anyone heard of the hippo syndrome? Yeah, the highest paid person in the room. That kind of normally making the decision. So yes, everything should and can be tested, which is absolutely the great thing about this work that we're doing. And if anyone speaks Japanese, I certainly don't, but this says Kaizen. Hopefully it does. It should do. But it's basically kind of the theory of incremental improvement. So literally the example we just saw with Google Apps for Business is that yes, we still do kind of the radical redesigns, but a lot of these kind of experiments are kind of incremental improvements. So we basically do small tests on an ongoing basis. And yes, we do still do button tests as well. And it just almost kind of surprises me, the effect of it with color. But also the call to action is very important as well. We run a big experiment with mainly marketing driven with Air New Zealand when they had to introduce a different color because they didn't want to use orange anymore because it was a competing color from a different airline company. I don't know which one. But so they were looking at alternative colors and we tested a lot of different colors just to see what didn't have a negative effect. So it's really interesting. So you go to the website now, you can see which one won. So yeah, incremental improvements. So you hardly kind of the websites that run a lot of tests, you hardly see this radical redesign. You see kind of every time there's improvements being made on an ongoing basis. So I just wanted to take you through a couple of common pitfalls that we come across on a regular basis. And now there's kind of like this rows and rows of those, but these are kind of the ones that we come across all the time. Is this one, open 24 hours a day, like always on testing and personalization. So the pitfall here is that always on, we've got personalized experiences that are basically always running. If you don't have a good repository of what's running on your site and somebody else takes over or there's a different department and other people involved, then it can be kind of get really, really messy when there's an update to your website, for example, and things break. Trust me, they break all the time. Or there's a personalized experience being run, and then we're building another. So an example with a client that had a call center, somebody calling in and saying to the call center, and the call center saying, "Oh, you just click on the red button." It's like, well, there's no red button on this page because they saw a different variation, those kind of things. So it's really, really important to get a repository of ideas and what's running at any time. We see this a lot, like the implementation bottleneck. So we can do a lot of rapid iteration testing and talk about agility, but if the implementation side of that is still kind of like waterfall based, so it goes like through 6-month development cycles, then you've got this massive backlog of winning variations. So really important to have like buy-in from the whole organization around what do we do with these winning variations and make sure that we actually implement those on an ongoing basis. Communication is key. So communication with other departments, because there's so many people involved. Communication with IT, what are we running here? Communication around, okay, well, even if this is winning variation, how difficult is it to implement? Because there's lots of examples that we've seen that an experiment is relatively easy to create, but then the implementation takes either a lot of money or 2 months of development, those kind of things. So communicate internally. Filtering testing ideas. We use a ranking called Pi ranking, which is but basically comes down to that's on 3 different levels. So we rank every test ideas in the backlog based on the complexity of creating it in the testing tool, the complexity of the implementation on the live CMS, and also the potential uplift. And then we get like a different score, and that's how we rank different ideas. But there's all sorts of different ways of doing it. As long as you make sure that there's a consistent filtering of ideas happening at any time. Not just done by one person with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There needs to be a process in place. QA, this is sometimes where it falls over. Who is responsible for things going live, right? Is it marketing, IT? You know, who's looking after that QA? And also, when you have an experiment running and there's another experiment going live, you can literally build an experiment on an experiment, and you have to, sometimes we end up like testing all the different browsers, all the different variations. So use tools like Browser Stack, for example, for that. But it's really, really important to have a rigorous QA process in place. Lifting too much weight, you know, like we want to do lots of really good stuff. And the good thing is these tools allow us to do anything we want. There's no issue with it at all. But actually building an experiment sometimes, like we've just done one recently, it took 3 days to build. Then you really have to question yourself, okay, what if it takes 3 days, what does the uplift need to be to justify the expense? Not only of actually building the experiment or the personalized campaign, but also of like what happens when we actually wins and we implement it live. So really think those things through. It's very, very important. We actually launched a service called Test Builders, purely for that reason that we've got clients, like many large corporates and agencies, that we build experiments for, and we assess those things as well, actually give them advice based on the potential, not the potential uplift, but how much time it actually does take to build. Oh, okay, this has been filled already. What are pitfalls you are experiencing? So this already popped up when you guys went to the, yeah, okay. Attribution, pitfall, conversion tools, by lack. Oh, okay, lack. Support. Lack of support. Education. Makes me dizzy. Lack of resources, that's definitely a common theme. Like resource, absolutely. And we can talk a lot about that afterwards as well, like with the drinks, but resource is often the case, not only building the experiments, but also kind of like for the whole CRO and personalization program. Measurement, time, internal alignment, I assume that's a big common theme as well. It's interesting to see that all these things that we actually kind of come across are all popping up. Oh, that's quite cool. Hippos. Yep, absolutely. Hopefully this saves and you can go back and just for yourself take a screenshot or something. But if not, then we'll find a way. I'll get it across to you. Ignorance. Ignorance is getting big. Okay, anyway, this is very fascinating, but I have to move on. Ignorance is definitely, yeah. Okay, so I wanted to take you through 2 clients that we're working with in New Zealand that do very different testing programs. Just things that worked well for them, and then learnings. So with IAG, we did a really big 2-month sprint project, which was around basically the whole lean testing. We had somebody internal at IAG for the duration of 2 months, working with the internal team to do nothing else and run like several tests a day almost on high traffic websites. So what worked really well in that case was every day, that's not every say, but every day they did a quick stand up every day to do your say. Yep. And just get everybody clear on what's happening. That's very much kind of lean startup as well. The willingness to fail. There was a massive willingness to fail. There was no attachment around, okay, what happens if this goes wrong? Just doesn't matter. There were no sacred cows. So there was no kind of, okay, well, Johnny from that department came up with this solution. We can't touch it. No, literally anything could be touched. The whole team knew what the KPIs were, and there was buy-in from the whole team to move things forward. Centralized repository of experiments, that was really important, like one of the pitfalls as well that we discussed. And overall, we doubled the conversion rate in 2 months for their key motor vehicle insurance product. Not really like we as a team, but that was just a really, really big success. And then learnings from that, we had too many winning, that was one of the biggest criticisms. We had too many winning tests. So basically it was, we were still too much focused on winning, and it was just kind of the focus needed to be on learnings. Very, very important. And digital and marketing team were running agile, but we still had, even though the rest of the organization said like, okay, well, we're agile as well, they were very much kind of still on waterfall. So a couple of the sprints, we missed the sprint dates or they didn't happen. So they didn't allow us to implement the winning variations. So there was a backlog in the end, but that got sorted. But yeah, some learnings. Les Mills, do a lot of work with them. Les Mills International. They're in, I don't know, 10,000 clubs around the world. Those are the fitness classes. Body Pump is one of the biggest ones that they do. What's working really well there is getting buy-in from the wider team, especially from the chief digital officer and the chief marketing officer. So really kind of top down. Everybody's kind of got that buy-in. They got a full integration with the data management platform. for personalization purposes and learning as well, which is working extremely well. They have a very clear idea of segments, so they know exactly who they want to target, what the result needs to be. So there's just really clear, lots of clarity around that. Very clear goals as well. What does success look like for us as well? So if we don't achieve the goals, then that will be the end of it. But also internally as well, they've got, like, if staff don't achieve goals, they'll, yeah, there's definitely very much focus on goal achievement. And then pitfalls, focusing on too many things at the same time. So they want, because there's really high targets, there's lots and lots of things you want to do continuously. So it's really important there filtering those ideas based on that pie ranking or any other ranking. Okay, a couple of with the pitfalls, but now how to run an effective CRO program. So just last couple of slides. Based on that, except that not every test will be a winner, which is sometimes a hard sell internally. Ideally, you want to have the first one to be a winner, so at least you kind of can show that, and then from there on you got a little bit of a leeway, but not every test will be a winner. Give it time. So ideally, we always run an experiment for a minimum of 2 weeks, not always possible, but also give it time to run a program as well, you know, to implement ideas, get better ideas, get like learning. It's certainly not kind of we'll do it in 1 month and then everything is working really well. Certainly when you look at personalization, it's a long-term journey. Don't test for the sake of testing. Again, really important that you can test anything, but don't test for the sake of testing, right? Really kind of make sure that everything we do has a good potential uplift. Ideally, we do this, optimize for revenue, not conversion rates. Why that's important is that we've got like a retail client, for example, at the moment, one of our KPIs is increasing basket size. So the overall conversion rate can be down. If the basket size is up and revenue is a target as well, then we can still obviously see an increase in revenue. So really it's kind of important to look at it holistically, not just look at, okay, we want to increase conversion rates. What does it look like? Link your testing tool to Google Analytics or any other analytics package that you're using, but to get those advanced kind of the data as well. So you can literally filter by experiment, by variation as well, and see, you know, take out your GA, for example, your geolocated traffic, for example, if you want to, or put any filter in place to get additional insights. If you want big results, sometimes you need to make big changes. Now, it's not preferred to do like a radical redesign, as we call that, but the one on the left, it's Seiden Cross Health Society, the biggest health insurance company in New Zealand. It's also our biggest client. They had the page on the left, which was basically done by marketing about a year ago, which had like beautiful moving elements. So you would hover over and you select your target group, but then user testing and all the other work we've done is obviously we'll figured out that lots of users didn't see themselves fit in one of those five categories, or they saw themselves fit in more than one. So there's no clarity on the left. So we did a lot of work and then came up with that was a winning variation, the one on the right. Find your health insurance plan. Very much focused on that one goal, one call to action, and then there's a secondary here, which is get a quote. So that's primary goal, secondary. We put in under the call to action, you can see a scientific name for it, but I just kind of forgot that. But it's almost like it's not like a fake link, but you sometimes see them as well, like under a call to action it says learn more or share this on LinkedIn, and nobody will do that, but it's just kind of the false sense of having options. It doesn't say that on that particular example though. But you know, it's good to kind of have that secondary option, but the main call to action is the one on top. But it had a 50% increase in health insurance sign-ups, which has been quite significant, obviously. So last one is have fun with testing. That's really important. You know, we talk about like lots of significance, and yes, it's revenue, there's goals, there's stakeholders involved in politics, lots of hippos and lots of other animals. But it's in the end, it's having some fun with it as well. So what we often recommend is like to get more buy-in throughout the organization is have different variations, you know, whether that's in the lunchroom or wherever you want to put it, and have people actually kind of put some bets, or you're not allowed to do that, but put something on that, like what variation do you think that will win? And then over time, just feed that back to the organization as well. And present that at Friday afternoon drinks or whatever you want to do with that. But that's been kind of just creating some fun and some buy-in as well. So that's it. That's contact details. Any questions? Then I'm happy to answer those now or afterwards as well.